Good morning, everybody. So I've just set the recording going, and here we are today. This is the creative visioning session. I've set the captions to go, so hopefully it won't misunderstand or mishear anything that I say, but sometimes you get a little bit of extra comedy from the captions going on at the bottom, just to make things easier for those of you who want it. So this morning's session, I'm recording this in October, but you could be watching this at any point in the future. And today we have new moon as well, October the 21st. So I'm really feeling the new moon energy, the crazy. I've been really tired this week, but lots of stuff shifting, lots of stuff coming into my life. And some of that's due to the tools that I use that I'm going to show three of them to you this morning. Three. I tried to do a reel yesterday and I couldn't get the right number of fingers out in time. So we're going to go through three creative visioning tools. Now, there's loads of tools you can use for visioning, and perhaps you've heard about visualization, or you do your own journaling, or you have your own tools that you like. So I'm going to expand the possibilities today by talking about ones that are maybe a bit more creative. So if, like me, you're highly creative, you love using pen and paper and color and words, you like to talk, you like to speak things out loud, and quite often when I'm talking to people, especially my bestie, my creative bestie, I find that I understand myself just by verbalizing things, and that might be true to you for you. So that's something we're going to use as well today. So settle in and get ready for this lovely session. It will probably be around 40 minutes long. We can't do the interactive stuff today, but I will show you how that works, and then you can go off and do that in your own time. But obviously we can do the journaling one. So I'll be setting a timer and I will be doing the processes at the same time as setting the timer so that you can follow along with the recording. Obviously you're watching the recording, so you can pause it at any point and have longer, or go off and have a break, whatever you need. So I am Claire Westwood. I am the founder of The Creative Mavericks, and I am here to help conscious creative change agents to make their difference in the world. I work with people who are conscious business owners, conscious leaders, coaches, creatives, healers, but people who have creativity and consciousness as part of their makeup. So you're connected to something greater than yourself. You probably meditate, you probably talk to the universe, God, source. You're connected to your soul and your intuition to some degree, and you would describe yourself as creative. So obviously we are all creative, but you would probably describe yourself as creative, and you do creative hobbies, or you have a creative business using art or words or music or making something like that. And you can see the craziness of the world that we're in, and we want to make our difference. And one of the ways that we can do that is by really tapping into our deeper wisdom, the wisdom that's been there for possibly thousands of years, millions of years. So we are energetic beings. We are made of fizziness and light and energy, and we are receivers of information from the world around us, from the whole cosmos. And if you're into Akashic record readings and that kind of thing, obviously we can tap into the wisdom of everything that's ever been in the whole history of existence. So that's a very big introduction. But what we're going to do is we're going to break that down into manageable pieces today so that you can go away with some tools that you can use. And I've got some examples of things that I do. I'm highly visual. I love color. I have synesthesia. And I find using color and shape a really good way to get me out of my overthinking logical brain and into my creative spirit, into my soul, and just to make sense when I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. So I'm hoping that these tools will help you as well. So this is obviously, a space for you to really tap into yourself. So what I would say is close down anything else that you're already doing. Now, for those of you who might be ADHDers in the audience, you often find it useful, I gather, to do something else at the same time. So if you need something to kind of keep your body moving, keep your hands moving at the same time, then that's absolutely great. But try and focus as much as possible on what's going on. And the activities are quite variety based, so hopefully they will keep you interested as well. I have here my trusty pens, color coordinated, pink pot and a blue pot with my lovely Stabilo pens there that I love to journal with. I have my notes here, I have some pictures and images to show you, and I have my journal for my journaling. So ideally you will have a journal or a notebook and some paper and some pens, colourful if you have them, because I just think it adds a different type of energy to what you're writing. If you don't have them, you can pause the recording and go off and get yourself organised. I have a glass of water. I've put a bit of music on before this. I've moved my body. So get yourself into a really good state where you feel like your energy is flowing a little bit through before we start. That's always useful. I do have a slight croak in my throat today, so I apologise for that. But it is October after all, and I think everybody's got one at the moment. So we can move our body, shake it out a little bit if you're feeling a little bit a little bit stiff, a little bit like you've got stuff going on in your head, you've had things happening in your life today, you've got things going on around you. I also have a little window open here for some fresh air, and I have some incense down there. I really like the atmosphere of a beautiful smell and also freshness. So I have the two combining here today. So what we're going to do in this session is we are going to tap into either your big vision or a piece of your vision. So you might have a creative project that you're looking at, or something in particular that you want to hone down on, or you might want to go really big and really tap into your imagination. So there's a field of thought now in the consciousness world that I tap into and listen to lots of amazing experts talking about. And that is that our imagination it's not necessarily created by us, the things we imagine. They could be things that we are receiving from outside. So if you've had something pop into your head, or an idea, or you feel a calling in your body, or you really just understand that the life you're living is not the best you could be doing, or it doesn't feel aligned, or you've done it for a while and you've outgrown it now. This is really common when we're on the path of evolution spiritually and personally, and we're growing as humans. We have to constantly kind of graduate from what we've been doing into something else. And I'm at a big point now in my life where I can see that a certain chapter in my life is done. My energy is, and my body, and I'm finding it really difficult to kind of keep going through the same steps. And so this sort of thing, running this sort of event really helps me, because I do the journaling as well. But it's like, okay, what's the next chapter for me? And you could be somebody who goes, oh, I'm going to think about like the next 20 years of my life. That might work really well. Or you might go, oh, up from now up until Christmas or the December solstice, or from now until spring. So that's the darkest part of the year and out back into the light again. So you might want to have a particular topic that you're talking about. You might want to do your whole life. You might want to look at a big amount of time. You might want to look at a small amount of time. You might not actually want to be specific as to what you're looking at before we start, and that's absolutely fine. You might just want to let yourself be a channel for whatever comes through. And you also might not want to put a time limit on. So I find with the traditional goal setting, if we go, with SMART goals, we're going to have this by this time and it's going to happen like this. I just don't think life works like that a lot of the time. We can create change by doing that. And that's a really good habit to get into, knowing that we have agency over our life and that we can create change. But I have found what works really well is doing the energetic work, the creative stuff, the imagining work, the feeling into it first, and then the strategic pieces are just a little addition on the end. They're not the basis of it. So what we want to do today is explore and be creative and energize our activities so that your vision, your project, a tiny piece, a little bit, the whole thing gets activated and energized in your system, because all of this stuff really needs to come through your voice, your body, your hands. We are the vessel for creating these things. So if you've had a download, or you've had an idea of something you want to create or something you want to do in the world, it's not going to happen unless you do it, unless I do it. Like this webinar isn't going to happen unless I sit here and I switch it on and I talk and share my wisdom, and I use my voice and my hands and my body. I use my hands a lot because it helps to move the energy through me as well. So I have some notes here, so that's what I'm looking down, just to make sure I don't go off on a big tangent of storytelling, which tends to be my thing. Another thing just to be aware of while we're doing these exercises is that we can play roles in life. The good girl, the good boy, the good person. I've got to do it well. I've got to do it perfectly. I've got to do it right. I've got to get the right answer. I've got to be the best, like all this stuff that we're trained to do when we're kids. Because you'll be doing this on your own, there's nobody watching. There's no need to be good at it. If you've never done this before, you don't need to be good. So when I started doing improv 25 years ago, that's the first time I'd ever been in any kind of teaching environment where they said to me, if you're doing this for the first time, don't try and be good at it. Like, you won't be good at it. That's not the intention. The intention is to practice. So I was like, nobody's ever told me I don't have to, have this aim of being really good or being the best or being brilliant at something. We can get brilliant at something, and it could be that something brilliant comes through you today, which I hope it will, but that the aim is not to be perfect and do it right and be, get a pat on the back from teacher or parent or whoever it is that we think we need to earn the plaudits of. It's literally just for you and your soul and your spirit and your intuition and your creativity to play together. So that's something else I want to say. So you have probably heard of SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. They are based in logic and structure and what we call a masculine energy. And that's not to do with gender. That's just a way that we need structure in our life. We need logic and intellect in our life, but we shouldn't necessarily be guided by them. We need the feminine energy. We need the intuition. We need the guidance. We need the downloads. We need the creativity. We need the flow. And those two things together really create a more balanced way of creating. So we are not going to do SMART goals today. We're not going to be specific or measurable. I don't care if it's achievable in a time scale, in a logical human way, because we have all sorts of things that can come into our lives that seem totally incredible. And I'm in the middle of something at the moment where something that's beyond anything I could have imagined has popped up because of these tools that I use. So this is where the magic can come in. Okay, so you are a force field of energy and creativity and magic, whether you feel it right now or not. This is absolutely true. So what I want to do first is to tap into a bit of magic using some writing. So maybe you do some journaling at the moment. Maybe you have a journaling practice. Maybe you don't. Maybe you've heard of journaling. You don't know what it means. Maybe you are intermittent with your journaling, or you have something that you really love doing, but you're feeling like, oh, I could do with a couple of different tools. That would be great. So what I'm going to do now is we are going to do a little bit of a writing practice, which you will have heard of before, I'm pretty sure, but actually the power is actually doing it. So when I ran this session in person in Bristol a couple of weeks ago, I did the same thing for 10 minutes and something really powerful came through for me. So it sounds really simple, but the power is in doing it. So you can just go, oh, I'm watching the recording, I'll just go off while this is happening, or I'll fast forward through it. But really, like, none of this stuff works unless we practice it. So that's just my encouragement today, is even if you've heard of this practice before, give it another go today, because you're a totally different person now in this moment than you've ever been before, and something incredible might be trying to burst through you that you can tap into during this process. So I'm going to get my piece of paper ready. I was going to do this in my lovely journal, but actually the pages are a bit awkward. So I've just got my notes here and just, an A4 kind of notebook thing that I'm doing. I do have this beautiful journal that I do this process in, and I've been doing a bit of this morning actually to tap into my future. But this flat paper is much easier to write on during this session. So what I'm going to do, what we're going to do now is we are going to do 10 minutes of free writing or stream of consciousness writing. But the focus of this, so it's literally 10 minutes of writing without stopping. We do not edit. We do not try and make it make sense. We do not worry about what's coming through. And you will find that after 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe a little bit longer, but it's pretty quick if you're a meditator and you're tuned into yourself, you will find that stuff's coming out of your pen that you never expected, that sounds weird, that sounds strange, that isn't what you as a yourself would normally say or write or do. And that's where the power and magic is. So we're going to do this for 10 minutes. So I will set my timer for 10 minutes and you will be watching me writing. It's not going to be thrilling, but you won't be watching me because you will also be writing for your 10 minutes as well. So let me just give myself a little bit more space here and I will set my timer. So free writing or stream of consciousness writing is literally, I've got my lovely dark blue pen here, I love this, and a piece of paper, and you just write until the 10 minutes is up. That's it. So think about something that you want to get deeper wisdom on. So it could be a particular project you want to birth. It could be a segment of your conscious business. It could be something to do with your family life. It could be, I just want to tap into my soul today and see what it has to say. It could be, what's the greatest thing I could achieve before Christmas? So you could ask yourself a question in this period of time. You can also use the writing as a letter. So if you talk to the universe, source, God, Mother Gaia, whatever term you use, you can write, Dear Universe, what's my next steps? Or, Dear Universe, guide me to my next project and the unfolding of it, or whatever. You can ask a question, and then in the free writing you answer, or you can ask yourself. So I could go, Dear Claire, what are you really thinking? Not thinking, what are you really wanting to create right now in your life? Or a great question that I got from, I'll just put my journal down here, that I got from something I was listening to this morning for the new moon is, if I was living how I truly wanted to live, how would I live my life? Big juicy questions. So you could want to answer something like that. If I was living the life I truly wanted to live, how would I be living? Or you might just want to go, oh, I can feel this creative project birthing or this new part of my business and I'm not sure what it is. So your focus for this would be getting clarity on that part of your business. So it's we've had about 23 minutes or so of this, 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is set my timer for 10 minutes. And I will just say little things every now and then so that we're still going. And stream of consciousness writing, asking the universe or yourself or your soul a question, asking or kind of writing about a big picture thing, like if I was truly living in alignment, if I was truly doing what I love to do, what would that be? Or something about a little bit of your family life, a little bit of your conscious business, a creative project, like whatever you want to focus on for this particular time together, then let's do that. So have a lovely time. I won't put any music on, but you can put music on at home, because what I find is it's just a bit of a nightmare trying to get music onto a Zoom. And it interferes with the vocals quite often as well. So pop some music on if you want. Make sure you're comfortable, give your body a shake, and we will do 10 minutes of free writing or stream of consciousness writing. See you the other side. The 10 minutes has started. I'm going to keep saying something just so the captions keep going. Ten minutes can feel like a long time, but actually once you get into flow, it's really great. If there's words or phrases that come through that are unexpected, that's brilliant, because they're deeper words and phrases. Okay, we've got 6.5 minutes to go, sorry. So we're nearly halfway through, and you might find yourself feeling like you're running out of steam, but keep going because this is where the really amazing stuff can come through. If you're feeling a bit stuck, you can write something like I am for your future and then just see what comes out afterwards. So make a declaration, or I feel, or ask another question if you feel like you've run out of kind of stuff. It's like, and then what would happen, or what else do you want to tell me, dear universe, or something like that. Okay, 3 minutes to go. Hopefully you've got some really amazing stuff coming through. Okay, 30 seconds, keep going. Down to my last bit on this page, I'll start writing in the margins. Okay, fantastic. So that was 10 minutes of free writing, stream of consciousness writing. I filled a page with mine, and a lot of it was kind of what happened for me was started off with things that were top of mind, things that I'd been kind of writing about this morning. And then I felt definitely more into flow. So I hope that was the experience for you. If you want to let me know how you got on with this, you can send me an email at claire@thecreativemavericks.co.uk and let me know what came through for you. I'd be really interested to hear how this process was for you. And I think this is a reminder always when I do this to go, like, you don't even have to do 10 minutes of this. But if you've read The Artist's Way, which you may have done, talks about writing morning pages every morning. And I do journal every day, but I don't like something quite as prescriptive as that. But what it reminds me of is that in just 10 minutes, which is not a huge amount of time to find in a day, that I can really tap into something deeper and more powerful. So my first thing to you is like these ways of tapping into our soul and our deeper creativity and wisdom don't have to take a long time, and they don't have to be complicated. You know, a piece of paper and a pen, or if you don't like writing, you could even, speak it into your voice recorder on your phone or your laptop or whatever. But we're going to do a bit of speaking in a minute. So I really like the power of pen and paper. It's very kinesthetic. We can feel it, we can see it. And there's research from neuroscience to show that when we write things down, they have more power because we're reading them as we're writing them, and it's in our handwriting. And there's something about using color as well. Like, it lights up different parts of our neural pathways, which is all good, because the more that we're in our bodies and in our creativity, the better. So we can type things on a screen, but that's much more of a linear thing, and it's more obviously technological. So there's something really amazing about just going back to paper and pen and feeling it and seeing it come through your hand and onto the page. So I hope that's been powerful for you. It's been pretty powerful for me, and that was just 10 minutes. So what we're going to do next is you want another piece of paper. Sorry, just have a quick glass of water. Is we're going to then do something with images. And I'm not going to call it art, because you don't have to be good at this either. You don't have to do anything that anyone's going to see. You don't have to be a brilliant artist, like none of that. And I have friends who go, oh God, I can't even draw a stick figure. Everyone can draw a stick figure, seriously, even like a 3-year-old, unless you can't physically hold a pen. In which case we'll try and sort something else out. However, so I'm going to show you some of the examples of things that I draw just when I want to channel something and tap into my wisdom using creativity. So this is a very soulful activity, but it's very linear. It's just writing on a piece of paper the way we would normally in this country, this language, or in English, left to right, on the lines, whatever. But if we want to tap into our more creative selves and different parts of our brain or deeper wisdom, we can use creativity for that. So we get out of our logical linear, we're writing on pages in black. And I remember I was talking about this at the session that I ran, that when I was a nurse for a really long time, and we had to write everything in black because everything we write is a legal document, may be used later on in court, legal proceedings, whatever, and it has to be legible and readable and all of that. So I used black pen for a really long time, even though my preference was always for a blue biro. There's something about blue that's much lovelier color to write with. However, I had to write in black for a long time professionally. And what I found was that spilled over into when I was doing my journaling or when I was writing at home. And I remember years and years ago with my first business, probably 2008, around there, listening to somebody saying, why not write in color? why not use all the colors? And I was just like, I'm allowed to do that. And it literally took me quite a while to get the confidence to allow myself, give myself permission to use colors. And now I look back and I was going, that was such a moment where I tapped into something, you know, way deeper and more creative and more playful for myself. It's like, yeah, we can use colors. We don't even have to write on the lines. So if that's how you're feeling now, a bit like, oh gosh, I've only ever written, you know, in this particular way. I've never drawn anything since I was at school. I don't know what to do. I'm not any good. Listen to those voices, because I will show you another page that I drew in my notes. This is something that came through when I was working with my coach the other day, is that we've got multiple parts of us, but this is a really quick diagram to talk about like what it might be. So this is our child self, our wounded self, our traumatized self. This is the 3D us living in the world, and this is our higher self. And when we are thinking, oh my God, I'm not any good at that, what will people think? This doesn't work for me. I can't do it. I can't do it right. This is not our higher self or our most grown-up human self talking. This is the wounded child part of us. So it's really important to acknowledge that it's there and go, I hear you. And now we're going to gently and lovingly move through some of that doubt and fear. So as I said, you're on your own, or you might have a friend with you doing this together. I don't know. But really, there's no right answer. It's not about being right. It's not about being good. It's just about playing on the piece of paper and seeing what comes through. So what we're doing is curiosity and playfulness. And it reminds me of, in lockdown, I had an intuitive art mentor. I work with one now as well, a different one. And it was really interesting because there was a lot of people in the group that I was in with her, where they were artists, trained artists, and they were beautiful, like create these. And I'm like, I'm not a trained artist. So a lot of what comes through me is quite cartoony. And I didn't, you know, I had watercolors and acrylic paints, and I didn't even know how to put them on the, like, I've got a brush, like, how do you put them on the paper? Do you use water? What kind of paper do you use? I had absolutely no idea. And to start with, I found that really difficult. And then what I realized was, if I don't know the rules, I can't make a mistake. I don't know what the rules are. So I can't do anything wrong because there are no rules. I'm just playing on the paper. That's really the attitude I want you to have with this one. Is just, we're playing on the paper. We're just seeing what comes through. We're curious about what might come through your creativity. Now, here's some of the ways that I have drawn symbols or images or shapes in order to tap into what I want next. And so what we're doing is we're using what's come through in your writing, so what you're focusing on for the session. And you might have had some clarity and something come through in the writing that you're like, whoa, I don't even know what that means. Great, because we can explore that using creativity, because your brain is freaking out going, I don't know what that means. That's not something I would normally say. That's a phrase that I've never heard myself come out with before. That's because this is your deeper self talking, your higher self, your wisdom, your soul. And so using images can be really useful. So here's an example of a combination of creativity and words, something like this. So you might draw a little stick figure of yourself in the middle to demonstrate you, and write some words that have come through, or just see what comes out. So there's obviously a bit of kind of what ordinary writing at the bottom on the lines and sorting things out. But I've written words around myself. So things like, I am the magical vessel, I am the portal, I am the activator, I am the source, I am the channel, I am the receiver. And again, this is pretty much intuitive writing, free flow writing. So I don't necessarily plan these either. Like, there's no planning. I just go, oh, I'm going to draw a stick figure of me and start writing stuff about myself around it. So almost like adding power to myself. So that might be something you want to try. So none of these, you don't have to do any of these things that I'm talking you through. You might just want to go, I'm just going to play with the paper and my pens and whatever you've got with you and see what comes through you, because that's actually what's important. It's not about doing the things that I'm showing you. I'm just showing you some of the stuff that I do, some of the variety. This one, I wanted to get clear on the different aspects of my life. And instead of doing it in a kind of grid or a mind map, I did it in these kind of, I don't know what you'd call them, petals, pebbles, blobs. And each blob is like a different life area. And I wrote things that I wanted to manifest, or I wanted to do, I wanted to be in those sections. And again, using different colors, but coordinating colors. This makes my synesthetic eyes very happy, using sort of shades of pink and blue and purple that all kind of go together to me. So yes, you might want to do blobs with different things in. Something else that is more like an energy picture. So again, it's a stick figure, but then I love a spiral because I love the energy of a spiral, and then just writing words around it. So I've got things like fairy G, magnetic, attract, liberation, pleasure, joy, bliss, frequency. So these are words that have come through in my journaling, and then I've just activated more energy into those words by doing something like this. So again, a little stick figure of me in the middle, totally optional, but a spiral, and then I've sort of put some scribbles on which add more kind of light and energy to it. So that's another one. This is the one I drew when I ran the session in Bristol a couple of weeks ago. This is what came through for me. It was just like a total portal of love. That's me and my future partner, and just surrounded by clients and my community and friends and people around me. Just full of love and joy, and it's fun and it's kind of cartoony. And as you see, I can draw a stick figure, but that's really like, it's just fun. There's no artistic grading needed on this at all. And if, like me, you weren't allowed to do art at school because you weren't good enough, then this can be very healing. You might want to do it a bit more like a kind of mind mappy type thing. Obviously, we'll only do a few minutes, so you can add to it later. But this is something I get A3 bits of paper as well now, and just it's about healing my money story, and do a kind of mind map, all different ideas in different colours, different themes, etc. Just helps my brain not feel overwhelmed. And it's also just fun, just putting colour on paper. And then this is another similar one. This is my Map Your Magic process, which I guide my clients through, all around my magic. So what we're going to do now is I will set the timer for, we'll do 5 minutes for this one. And so you can draw a stick figure, you can do an energy sketch, you can do blobs, you can just literally play with the colour. The other day I was doing this and I was working with somebody who attended the session, and in order to get away from a blank piece of paper, she just got thick marker pens and just scribbled some colour on it, and then she writes over the top, because it takes away from, oh my God, I've got a blank piece of paper. If you're terrified of a blank piece of paper, if you've got a pale pen like a yellow, do a spiral on it, start putting some energy on it, start putting some movement on it. And then once you've started, a bit like the free writing, things will just follow. So as soon as the timer goes, start doing something on that piece of paper, whether it's a stick figure or a spiral or a scribble or something, just to get you started, and then see what comes through. So you might want to look at the words that have come through in the free writing that you did, or a phrase that you want to look at. If you go, that is a phrase that I've never said before. This often happens to me with downloads. I'm like, well, that's never happened before. I had one last week, I think, that said, stop doing ordinary things, do extraordinary. And then I sat down with my journal. I was like, what would extraordinary mean? If I was doing extraordinary things, what would they be? So these downloads, this intuitive guidance is really, really powerful. And I also got really, really clear on the next type of home I want to live in. And I'm going to view one tonight, which is like totally different to what I have ever seen online, which is incredible. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I declared it out loud to my friend, power of verbalization, which we're going to do next. And all of a sudden, this thing has popped into my life that's a potential. So this is powerful stuff. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to do a creative activity with some kind of drawing, some kind of movement, some kind of shape, some more color around what's come through in your free writing about this particular aspect of your life or business or the topic. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to set the alarm for 5 minutes this time. So we've got 5 minutes. And I will tell you when the time is up, and just play with color on the paper. If this is the first time you've ever done it, you don't need to be good at it. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to make sense. It's literally just playing, and you might find the odd little bit of magic or the odd little bit of something comes through that you weren't expecting. And that's what we're looking for. Or just you're having fun with color, you're getting your confidence up, you're listening to your voice, your inner voice that tells you that this is frivolous or silly, or you should be doing something else. Like all those voices, we're just going to let them be, and we're just going to do it anyway. So see you the other side. I will set the 5 minutes and we are starting now. Whoop. I'm just going to start with a great big spiral because that covers the page and it adds a lot of energy to it. And then I'm just going to see what follows from there. You're free to start however you wish. Do a scribble, do a stick figure, write a word in the middle, whatever works. There are no rules, just play with color and shape and energy. And again, you pop a bit of music on if you want. I would normally, but for this session, it's just easier not to keep faffing around with music or trying to work it out. And again, like the free writing, there's no editing required, there's no judgment required, just let what comes through come through. You might feel something coming through, which is like just drawing a picture of what it is that you want, something you want to manifest in. I'm going to be doing creativity and manifestation on my next in-person session. Okay, I've got 2 minutes to go. Obviously, you can complete this at any point and carry it on after this session. This is just to really get you started and get you playing with this idea of using pens and paper. Working through some of those voices. If you're being besieged by them right now, judgment, inner judgment, or your inner critic, just go gentle. I hear you, inner critic, but my playful, creative self is in charge right now. And just do what you can. Like I said, it's the first time you're doing it. You don't have to be good. You don't have to do it right. There isn't any right. Okay, 44 seconds to go. That's me. I love drawing little stars all over everything. Okay, there we go. Gosh, that went really quick, I think. I love drawing and doodling. So here's what came through for me, very similar to things I've drawn before, but with fresh, different words. And one of the themes that came through in the writing is really about me being fully in my power and feeling powerful. Because I think in life, especially as women or non-binary individuals or creatives or people who live life differently, spiritual people, we can shrink because we think, what will other people think? Or this is not acceptable. Certainly if we've got like creative wounds from school, or we've been judged for being too woo-woo, or whatever it is, we're nervous about showing up fully in our full power. And I think this is the journey that I'm really on now, and that came through in the writing. So well done if you've done both of those. Again, if you want to photograph what you've done and send it to me at claire@thecreativemavericks.co.uk, I'd be really interested to see what came through for you. So the final thing is something that you can do on your own. You could do it into your voice recorder. It's really good to do it with a partner though, if you've got somebody to buddy up with. If you're doing this with someone, or if you've got a creative bestie or a spiritual bestie, somebody, or business bestie, somebody, or your partner, somebody that you know will kind of add to your vision and support you and add energy and cheer you on. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for feedback. You're not looking for criticism. You're not looking for anyone's opinion on it. That is absolutely not what we're doing. So the next thing is about verbalizing it. So for example, if I was when I was in the session, the in-person session, we went into pairs and each person had 3 minutes to talk about their vision out loud, to talk about what had come through in the writing and in the drawing, and to activate it with words, to add energy to it. And what happens is the listener then says, tell me more about that. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. You know, just like really having somebody to uplift and cheerlead and raise it all up. So, for example, you might want to, I'll share mine, a bit of mine with you. And this is an example of what you might say to your buddy, vocalize out loud, verbalize out loud. So if I was living how I truly wanted to live, that was really what I started with. And it sort of went into all sorts of things, which is what free writing does. So it's not so much about reading it out, it's about really feeling it in your body and letting it come through the words. So if I was living how I truly wanted to live, I would be living at the highest level and fully expressing myself in all areas of my life. I would have spaciousness and freedom and flow in my life. I would be surrounded by yes people, theatrical, conscious, musical, coachy, spiritual types, creative mavericks. Contemporary and lovely to hang out with. And I have a deep, intimate group of people, clients and a partner around me, fueling my dreams. They're my besties. People fueling my dreams is what I need. People to fuel my power, people to uplift me, to add things to it. I live in the flow of the universe. So I am talking as if this is real now. That's the other thing. Talk about it as if you're already doing it. I don't think I said that at the beginning. So it's like I live in the flow of the universe, really feeling energy and magic flowing every day. I love my life. I'm aligned and powerful, creative, wise, full of love, light, and miracles. I am being true to myself, processing the emotions as they come up and elevating myself to new levels of power, money, love, creativity, and magic. I am being fully myself. I am happy to have created a life in tune with my soul and the universe. I'm as powerful and magical as one of my mentors, and Ray, if you know her, a singer, doing their thing fully and gloriously. I acknowledge and live in my power and magic. I am a leader, luminary, building conscious wealth and enjoying the journey. I am fully in my power, on my higher path and timeline. There's no more shrinking, no more being nice, no more being palatable, no more feeling suffocated. I am spacious, expansive, and powerful. I am loved and loving, open, and a channel, a portal, a vessel for wonder. I am here to be fully myself and to activate conscious leaders to be themselves fully too. It feels amazing to be fully embodied and expressed as my most powerful self. So that was mine. I did end up reading it because I really wanted to get it. And there's so much stuff. And so that's the other thing in your writing is you can look for kind of unusual words or themes or recurring things. And mine is all about being in my power, all of it, pretty much. So what came through when I drew was, I am in my power. Let the power out. And I don't know if you've been watching Riot Women on iPlayer, but I was thinking about the vocalist in that. It's a drama about midlife, menopause, power, female friendships, family, everything. And there's a woman on there who's had a very traumatic life, difficult time, and my God, can she sing? So that's been really inspiring me lately as well. So yeah, so that's the last activity, is find somebody you can do this with, or just talk it into your phone and move your body. You can stand up, you can move your body, and just say it out loud. It's like you're making a declaration to yourself and the universe, and you will feel probably self-conscious and embarrassed if you've never done anything like this before. It's like when people are learning their lines in theatre and they do it in their heads, and it's like you have to say them out loud when you're practicing at home, because there's power in saying things out loud, because you hear them and you feel them, and you can feel like the inner voices maybe wanting to shut you down, or what will people think, or I can't say this to such and such. Like even when I was reading mine, I'm like, I'm saying this, it's being recorded, people are going to listen to what's actually come through for me. And then I'm like, I have to own it. I have to own what came through for me and who I am and who I'm becoming, because that's how it becomes a reality. That's how we embody it fully. So that is those are the 3 activities. So we did some free writing just for 10 minutes. Amazing wisdom hopefully came through for you. We did the mark making, drawing, color adding. So we added some energy and some color and some art power. Again, you could spend an hour later making that bigger, making it bolder, adding more to it, doing a great big A3 size one if you want. And then we verbalized and vocalized it. And if you can do that with a buddy and they can cheer you on while you're sharing it, that is absolutely amazing. The one that came through when I did the in-person one was me about being a channel for love, really. And then the woman I was sort of saying this to, we both got a bit teary as I was doing it. So adding emotion, adding energy, adding fuel. So the writing is great, but there's something about being in our bodies and being in our voices and really adding that energy and activating it that way that adds real power. So I hope you have found this useful session. And I wanted to say that if you want to work with somebody, aka me, in a 2-hour session where we will really go deep on some of these techniques, and I've got loads of other techniques as well that I can use with my one-to-one clients, there's a way of creating a space where different wisdom will come out of you and will come through you that I can create, because I've been coaching for 20 odd years and I use way more creative and intuitive tools now to really hold the space, and I will get downloads for you and I will reflect things back to you, and you will really be able to tap into your power and your, in the same way that I don't know, it's like a catalyst effect of me activating what's in you so that you can really show up more fully, more powerfully. If you've got a project that you're trying to birth, or something that you're not sure of, or a kind of soul calling and your brain is arguing with you, then that's a real amazing time to get into your soul. So I have these 2-hour sessions available at the moment. If you're interested in having a call with me to talk about them, to do a visioning session with me, or really tapping into like, what's the next chapter for you? Where are you going? We will create a massive A3 piece of paper. I will do all the drawing and the writing as you speak to me. We'll record it so you get it for later to re-listen to. And that will be almost like your oracle card. It will be your guide. It will be your map. I call it a map, in fact. It will be your map to guide you to the next thing, to make sure that when you get caught up in the everyday busyness of life, or your brain's trying to take you into the 3D and to do the ordinary things and get very caught up in what's happening in your reality, that you can remember like what your vision is and where you're going. And I also have longer programs, obviously, to work with people who really want to live that fully. So if this is you, if you want to talk about a 2-hour session where we really dig into this stuff together on a one-to-one, this is a tiny little taster that you've had this morning, but you will have my full attention and energy and magic and wisdom with you. Excuse me. Then let me know. I've got 2-hour sessions available. Send me an email, claire@thecreativemavericks.co.uk. That's up until the end of 2025. That's the year we're in at the moment. So yeah, let me know if that's something you're interested in. And thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this, and send me an email. Let me know how you get on. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.